decimal form of a percent. The percent of error. So if you say it has to be lower than 0, that's like, we can't aim for perfection. 0 point, no, 0.05. So it's 5%. 0.5 would be 50%. What? Well, not just in high school, for all inferential statistics. You can use different limits, yes, but this is the one that we're gonna do. Okay, number 3, what is an operational definition? And give an example of one. When we went over this in class, we watched that Looney Tunes cartoon with the Bugs Bunny like finding ways to outsmart the duck, right? Because the duck was saying if rabbits eat in, and then he like turned it around on him, and he was the one actually getting shot. So
it was only between her and I, by the way. So.
Initially, when I just asked you to count the number of violent acts, did we get similar numbers or different numbers? Different numbers. So what did we need to do in order to get numbers that were closer to the same number? So we had to set an operational definition for violence, meaning what? In common people terms, what did we do?
What is violence?
What is violence, right? So operational definition is a definition of how the DV is measured. So in that case, violence, oftentimes you might say like something abstract, like we're studying the effect of like sleep on memory. But how do we define memory? Like, is it number of words you can remember? Like, same with sleep. Like, how are we going to measure sleep? So it could be the IV, but also the DV. Is it like restful sleep? Is it just the number of hours that you're in bed? You might just be laying in bed, but not actually be asleep, right? Number 4, APA ethical guidelines. What is the activity we did when we talked about ethical guidelines? You really like this one. Yeah, but before we talked about that, we did what would you do question. It was like, what would you like kill your own son, or would you like push a fat person in front of a trolley, right? Huh? So first, these are things, the ethical guidelines released by the American Psychological Association are things that you absolutely cannot do. So number 1 is very obvious. Can you push a fat person in front of a trolley?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's bigger than you, no.
I suppose, okay, I did not get right. I suppose you can, but should you?
Yeah.
Should, that's the question.
If I have to do it, yeah.
Where's the truth on this apple?
Okay, serious question. Should you do it?
No.
If you really do.
Okay, so number 1 is no harm,
Do you buy it?
physical or psychological. What's number 2?
No harm.
Is it informed consent?
Informed consent. What does that mean, Alejandra?
Like they have to agree on the terms?
Yeah, well, we would call that something else.
Or like,
But I like what you're saying, that's also true, but we call that voluntary participation.
informed consent is probably like you have to know all the information about what's gonna happen. They have to know what's
Yeah, so first you have to volunteer. You can't, my IB kids have been running their experiments and they go into classrooms and and they're actually supposed to ask if you want to do the experiment. But sometimes the teacher like forces the kids, and I'm like, that's nice, but like, no, they're not supposed to do that. Volunteer participation, but then they also have to sign a form that not that they're voluntarily participating, but that they've been informed of their rights and have been told the purpose of the study. Number 4.
Oh.
Wait, Bryce?
But was it? Wait, here it says it in fancy words. It says
All right.
it says integrity or justice. I got okay. My 5 were beneficence and non-maleficence, fidelity and responsibility, integrity, justice, and respect for people's rights and dignity.
Okay, so those are very aspirational, but I guess let's go to respect for people's rights and dignity. What is one way you can respect people's rights?
Like you can't hold like
Confidentiality. So names should not be tied to any result. And then number 5 is something that you have to do after the experiment, especially if you lied to them. So you should not lie to them, but sometimes it's necessary. And if you do lie to them, like if you tell them that the purpose of the experiment is something that is not the actual purpose of the experiment, just so you can collect reliable data and they're not going to change their behavior, then what do you have to do at the end? You tell them. You debrief. So at the end, you specifically tell them what you're looking for and how their results compare to what you were looking for. Did anyone have the IB Kids experiment on them? Recently? You did the memory study?
Oh yeah. Was it the one with the color? It was like purple, but the color in the background was green.
You could have done the Stroop test was one thing they did.
No, I didn't do it. I just saw it.
And there were like 2 different tests. That's chunky memory. The ones that actually had words that were dated and that
I got annoyed, but like.
No job.
Like you can't go with yourself now.
Okay. Before I let you do an FRQ by yourself, I want to do one as a class. So I need someone who can see this and has a loud voice to read this paragraph for us. Okay, Cassandra.
I read it now?
Yeah, you read it now.
A researcher compared the effectiveness of massed versus what? Massed versus distributed practice in preparing for a memory test. Each of 2 groups memorized the definitions of 40 vocabulary words. In group A, that's better. Thank you.
That's a lot better.
In group A, there were 30 participants who were all under 25 years of age. Participants in group A used the method of distributed practice, studying for 30 minutes on each of 4 evenings. They were tested on the 5th morning at 7 a.m. In group B, there were 30 participants who were all over 60 years of age. Participants in group B used the method of massed practice, studying only from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. on the evening before the test. They were tested the next morning at 7 a.m. All participants completed a recall test. The test measured how quickly participants recalled the definitions. The results show that the mean difference between the distributed practice group and the massed practice group was statistically significant. The researcher provided a list of the names and test scores for each individual participant in a letter to all participants. Is that it?
That is it, thank
Okay.
you.
No problem.
Okay, so that might look a little bit daunting. It uses a bunch of words that we haven't used in class. Like, we don't really know what mass practice or distributed practice is. We haven't specifically talked about memory, but actually you have all the information that you need to answer the question. So let's break it down in a way where it's easy to understand. Can someone tell me what we're studying? So the effect of what on what?
The effect of the type of studying on test score is the next thing.
Test score, less specific. So,
Memory.
yeah, effect of type of review on memory.
Yeah.
Is type of review the IV or the DV? Independent variable? Why do you say that?
Because you can alter it.
You can alter it. We did alter it. What were the two types?
One was then I can't
Yeah, the mass practice and the
Yeah, that
distributed, yeah. So, group A did which one? Which one of the two types? Math. Were there studies for 2 hours before the test? You would call it cramming, right? That's what you do, like the day before the test, you just sit down and you review all the material.
I think the group A did the distributed practice. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't check. Okay, how do you know?
It says group A.
Oh, it's distributed, yeah. Okay, so group B did math, which was 2 hours before the test, or 2 hours the day before the test. You don't have to write it. Distributed was 30 minutes per day for 4 days. Okay, you can. Okay, so this is the IV, this is the difference between them. So then memory has to be the DV.